What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ here. So, obviously, yesterday we saw an insane best of 5 between TSM and Cloud9 with so much on the line. Pressure, expectations, all the money thrown into both of these rosters, all the reputations of all the players, all the futures of all the players, all the futures of this season for all these players in this team. So much was on the line, and it was crazy. It was so fun to watch. And again, I'm at this point where there's so many different things to talk about, but where I want to start as far as the LCS, I usually make like one LEC video a day, and I make one LCS video per day. So where I want to start in terms of the LCS is just talking about Cloud9 a little bit and how crazy and how much it means to them and so many players on this team to be going to Worlds, and how it could really change the landscape of so much going on in the LCS. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video. I would appreciate it so much. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content, and consider checking out my Patreon, patreon.com/IamGerm, where you can find the VODs for my podcast Beyond the Rift with I Am Germ, and a ton of other content as well. That podcast's also going to be live streamed every single Monday on YouTube. So hey, if you're on YouTube today, come check it out. It's going to be a banger of an episode this week. With that being said, let's get right into this. So I guess where I wanted to start in terms of LCS, again, all different kinds of stuff we're going to be talking about this week. There's going to be so many videos. I'm going to be recording a bunch of videos today. I am like, my brain is just spinning. I don't even know what I want to talk about first, or what I should talk about first. But, or most importantly, what I'm thinking about is what videos are going to perform the best on YouTube. I know how many discussions there are to be had, but one of the biggest discussions is the meme coming into this game of no sneaky, no worlds. And partly I just want to say that I think it was a little bit overblown. Yes, Cloud9 had made it to Worlds every single time with Sneaky, but they had some crazy runs. They've had to go through the lower bracket. They, had their backs up against the wall so many times, and so many of those times, if you, played it a couple of times over, they probably don't make it to Worlds. A lot of those times, they probably shouldn't have made it to Worlds, but historically, they are North America's best team at international tournaments. Yes, that didn't really go over that well at MSI this year, but I believe they've made it out of groups the most. I believe they've made it the farthest. Obviously, Team Liquid made it to a final at MSI, but Cloud9 has made it to a World Semi. They made it out of groups a couple of times. They've been very good, and Sneaky was always a big part of that. Even in 2019, where people say, Sneaky didn't do that well and stuff, I think he did fine. I mostly would probably put a lot more of the blame on Zeyzal, who I didn't think was that good. And even if you don't think Sneaky was that good, it was kind of one-off year. I do think Sneaky should get another opportunity with a decent team in the LCS. I don't think he should have to go to, Golden Guardians or something like that, or whatever teams are talking to him. But regardless, the whole meme I think was a little bit overblown. Yes, it would have been funnier if they didn't make it this year. But obviously, it was just 1 year of not making Worlds, which that's really normal. We even see over in EU now that G2 doesn't even make it to Worlds. That's like the most successful team with a stacked roster and lineup. They aren't even able to make it to Worlds every single year. So it was a little bit overblown, but still, it was a meme. Still, the pressure was on. Still, there was so much going on. And Cloud9 was able to do it. Obviously, they got down 2-1. TSM looked like they were really dominating. TSM should have won game 2. This could have been a 3-0 series, and man, if it was, so much would be different. We would be having so many different conversations today about a lot of these players, but that's not what happened. They came back and they won in game 5, and they, the storyline turns to no sneaky yes Worlds, and they showed that they can do it. They're moving on from that era. They're putting that era behind them. Yes, they had so many great memories with Sneaky. Yes, they have so many fans from that Sneaky era, all that stuff. But it's done with now. They're kind of, rewriting their own story, and them being able to do this really does change the perspective for so many of these people. Starting off with Perks, he was going to be seen as a big overpay, a big waste of money, a terrible investment, and he still might be seen as some of those things. I'm not saying, just because he makes it to Worlds, it makes all that money worth it, but man, if he didn't even make it to Worlds, Cloud9 was going to get memed so much. But at least going to Worlds, that should be pretty damn good. I mean, NA, yes, we want to do Worlds. We want to get out of groups and all that stuff. But really, par for the course in North America is just getting to Worlds, hopefully winning a couple of games. And if you do that, as long as on like the last day of Worlds, as long as your team has some games that matter a little bit, your fans will probably be excited about that. And obviously they won a title in the spring. They went to MSI. They beat Damwon. They beat RNG. Perkz has had some good moments with Cloud9 already. And damn, he looked so good in Game 4 and 5. I hope he can carry that form through the rest of the playoffs. But more than that, I hope he can carry it into Worlds. I don't really care that much about the rest of the playoffs at this point. The LCS titles don't really mean anything at this point anyway. It's just going to affect seeding at Worlds and stuff like that. But then we kind of look at some of the other players that this potentially affected a lot more. I'm looking at Blaber, who, he had this storyline of being this guy who was so amazing in spring, then last year, so amazing in spring, comes to summer and kind of sucks. This year, he's so amazing in spring, goes to MSI, and he kind of sucks. Come back in summer, and he kind of sucks. In summer playoffs, even in this series against TSM, he was fine. He was good. He wasn't great. Overall, he kind of sucked, based on his standards of being a two-time MVP. He kind of sucked. And if he and Cloud9 would not have made it to Worlds again, after winning the LEC spring title, after him being an MVP and then him not bringing that form into Summer Split, if they just didn't make it to Worlds, but Blaber was 1v9ing and just couldn't carry, that's one thing. But if he is a huge part of the reason why they're not able to win, I think that's a whole nother story. And again, I think Blaber did fine in this series, but he didn't stand out to me. I don't think he was the best player in this series. I don't even think he was the best jungler in this series. And when you start to look around the league, you have Santorin that's looking pretty damn good. You have Spica that's probably going to be the MVP. You have some other junglers out there. So that kind of gets us to the point where, Blaber might not be on Cloud9 going forward into the future. But man, if they wouldn't have made it to Worlds, there would be way more heat on Blaber. So them getting this done really changes stuff around for Blaber. And then also, obviously, the direct comparison to Sneaky is going to be Sven, the guy that replaced him. He came from EU, where he was highly seen as maybe one of the best AD carries in the world at that point. He was winning LEC titles. He was going to Worlds, having some decent performances. He made it to a World semi. He was damn good. And then he comes to North America, and he makes it to a finals with TSM, but then he has that int play. He doesn't make it to Worlds with TSM, and then he goes to Cloud9, and he finally wins a title. But then he doesn't make it to Worlds with Cloud9. In 3 years into his North American career, he had not made Worlds a single time. So not only was it no Sneaky, no Worlds, it was, if you have Sven, you're not going to Worlds. So for him to be able to overcome that as well, because this is another guy that it's possible Cloud9 was going to move on from in this offseason. We already saw them try out King for a little while. And I don't think still, just because Cloud9 has made it to Worlds, Cloud9 ultimately wants to do better than make it to Worlds. They want to get out of groups at Worlds. They want to make it to World Semis. They want to compete for world titles eventually. So just because they got out of groups, that does not mean Blaber is safe. That does not mean Sven is safe. But man, this really changes the whole narrative on all these players. And again, this series could have went differently so easy. TSM absolutely could have won this series, but they didn't. And again, there is so many storylines. One of them was no Sneaky, no Worlds. But again, there is so much on the line with all these players. So much that happened, which made this series so interesting. And there was so many people on Twitter's going crazy, Reddit's going crazy. I hope YouTube's going crazy this week. But Cloud9, they overcame all of that, all of the pressure, all of these storylines, all of just the memes and stuff that everyone wanted to put on them. They overcame it all. Blaber did it, Sven did it, Cloud9 did it. And they're going to Worlds, and I hope they do well. Again, I think they have a better chance of doing well at Worlds than TSM would have. So I think that's exciting in some ways for North America, but we'll have to see how that goes. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Again, be looking out for a ton of videos from me this week. We have so much to talk about. This is just where I'm getting started with these conversations. They're going to heat up. They're going to get spicier and spicier, so stay tuned. Leave a comment down below. What kind of expectations do you have for Cloud9, the rest of the playoffs, Worlds? Do you think they're in a good spot? Do you think do you have hope for Cloud9? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.